Hi, sweeties, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Sweet Life of Mary Kay. I'm Sweet Mary Kay. A couple months ago, I had a conversation with you about sex. I wanted to share more about my journey to purity and the journey through purity and all that in between. On the watch night service in December of 2011, I was tired of living a certain lifestyle. So I was like, Lord, I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of being impure. I'm tired of living this certain lifestyle. I need you to save me. I rededicated my life back to the Lord. And so, of course, that started the 2012 year. I was 16 years old. I knew that I was on a journey, on a path where I was trying to live for the Lord. I was a sophomore in high school. It was very rare. People knew me from being wild. I actually have a book. You can go read it. And you can learn about what I'm talking about because this is just a little backstory, okay? As the months progressed, I really wasn't like, I got to do this. I got to do this by this. I got to stop doing it by this. But what I did was allow the Lord to take the lead. And so I was still cussing and having sex and doing certain stuff, not intentionally like I'm going to just do what I want. But it was a journey. And so fast forward to March 12th, 2012, I had sex. I was linking up with somebody and we, was doing what we do because that's what we did. And that was the last night that I had sex back then. The next day, we went to this thing called the Rose Banquet. It was a purity banquet where it honored abstinence, waiting till marriage, and abstaining from sex, ultimately celibacy. And so we had this portion of the ceremony where we had to sign these like commitment cards, and I signed it. Because, I wasn't even thinking of none of it. I wasn't even thinking of the fact that I had just had sex last night. It was like literally the next day, I'm here. And it was kind of like the Lord got my attention because he reminded me of the journey I was on. It's almost like, okay, this is your time. And it literally happened overnight. So once I signed the commitment card, it was like, oh, okay, I'm finna do this. Like, no sex till I get married. And so I remember a couple weeks later, my ex coming into town. Y'all already know how the exes be. Even at that age, they be okay, they be popping up. And I remember I was going to go and spend the night with him. But he got mad at me because I was taking too long. Like, he was ready to go, and I wasn't going to be ready by that time. And he was like, well, don't worry about it. I'm not coming. Back then, it's like, oh, okay. But I knew it was the Lord. Like, I knew the Lord was trying to keep me from that. And from then, I was like, I'm not having sex. March 13, 2012 was my anniversary date where I signed this commitment card. I'm not doing it anymore. I started talking about it publicly. Back then, Twitter was popping. Twitter's still popping, but back then I was on Twitter and I was changing the language. I had names on Twitter like She Soaked and Wet This, Wet That. Girl, so provocative, okay? Girl, what? And I changed my name on Twitter to Sweet_Mary Kay. And I started just talking about like the change that I was on. I made it to that 1 year mark and it was like, oh, wow, I'm really abstinent. And I started, like, I would celebrate it. I would talk about it because, for one, I was a young woman of God who was just trying to do my best to be a witness for him. And so if people knew me when I was loud, ratchet, acting up, wilding out in the juvenile system, then why can't I be loud about my salvation, loud about the journey that I'm on? And so people did respect it. I wasn't doing it at the time for like fame and congratulations and stuff. Now, I ain't even gonna hold you. I had a little thing in me that was like, okay, girl, you doing this? And but I was not ultimately trying to be prideful, arrogant, or none of that. As the years progressed, I started having celebratory events where I called it the I Choose to Pass, and that derived from the Smash or Pass game we used to play on social media. Y'all know that game. Like my status and tell me if you was Smash or Pass. So inappropriate, we was doing the most. But I Choose to Pass was formed out of that. It was like I choose to pass on sex, like I'm moving forward, and I choose to pass ain't going nowhere. So let me just throw that out there, that little tidbit. I call it the I Choose to Pass purity celebration. And so when I lived in Goldsboro, North Carolina, I would have these events and it would be hundreds of people that come out and just celebrate. I would have panelists and speakers and stuff like that celebrating me on my journey to purity, but also just trying to like encourage young people that they can be pure. They can abstain from sex. Like, you can be a believer, have a good time. Because back then I had a good time, like without sex, without living for the world. And so years progressed, and then 2016 I moved to Mississippi. Now, That's just like the nutshell. But let me talk about kind of in between. The first year, walking apart. It was kind of like, okay, it's fresh. I'm doing this. I'm committed. Going into the second year, I would have people trying to talk to me, but I was so focused on having a peer relationship and my relationship leading to marriage. Like I mentioned in my last video, I thought I was going to be married at a young age. And so I was focused on that. And so ultimately there would be some guys that would try to do it, but I'm like, I'm not having sex. And they would like drop off and be like, I can't do this type of deal, whatever. They ain't really want me for real. They wanted to have sex. I would play with fire a little bit. Like I would kiss here and kiss there. Hormones would be hormoning because we know what the body be on. It was like, okay. And so I try not to do that. Sometimes I would go further than what was appropriate. I never had sex during my 6-year journey. And when I was actively committing myself to abstinence, I never had sex, but I would just take things too far at times. And so as the years progressed, it got harder and harder. What I failed at, I should have got harder and harder in God, harder and harder in the word. I feel like there were some areas where it was still surface level. I was still going off of year one of abstinence. It started being where just me talking about on social media was kind of like my foundation, and the word was not my foundation enough. Also, where I went wrong was focusing on marriage alone. Living a lifestyle being pure is so much more than not laying down and having sex, period. What does your lifestyle look like? What does your relationship with the Lord look like? Are you living holy according to Him? Are you living for Him and not man? Are you doing this because it's right and you're trying to be on social media and you want a husband? All these things is what I realized I started to lack after I fell, of course, because in the moment it was just surface. It was just, oh God, I acknowledge you. I pray. I read here and there, but I was not grounded enough, and my foundation was not on Christ enough, because that's why I fell. Because if I was really, really rooted in God like I should have been, I would have never given up my journey. So when we moved to Mississippi, that spotlight was gone. In Goldsboro, people knew me. The city knew me. Like, that's not no, like, just arrogant type of talk. The city knew me. I had these events. I was professing my faith. I was on social media. I was doing what I'm doing now, back then. And so I fell, ultimately, but let me. So when we got to Mississippi, all of that pressure was gone. The pedestal was gone. I mean, if you connected with me on Instagram and Facebook, you knew that I was a believer. You knew that I was trying to live right, but you really didn't know the history, because I would be off and on with making YouTube videos. I would be off and on with sharing. It was a battle. And that's why I say my foundation just wasn't firm. Okay. It wasn't Mav and Cody. Y'all get that firm foundation. Okay, anyway. So 2016, I got into pornography. I had never been interested in masturbating, just because I never had to. I mean, hope that don't sound too raunchy, but I never had to. I was sexually active. Do not have sex if you are not married, period. And so I watched porn and I learned how to masturbate and please myself. And so that was 2016. And I didn't do it all the time. Like, it wasn't like an every night thing, but it became frequent. It became frequent to where, yeah, I still wanted to have sex, but it was like, oh, okay, I'm masturbating. And I grew up, believing that stuff was wrong. I believe that you should not be masturbating. You shouldn't be watching porn. We were not ever made to watch anybody have sex, because marriage was made for man and woman, and it's not our business what you do in the bedroom. Anyway, that's the whole other topic. This video ain't about that, but I'm telling you what happened. Started doing porn, and I was drawn further and further away from God. Before I moved to Mississippi, I fell into this season of not reading the Bible, because I had someone who was walking closely with me, trying to teach me the Bible in a deeper way. And because of the nature of the way they taught, it confused me in some aspects. It made me feel like I wasn't understanding, like comments were made, and it just made me feel like I was not studying and understanding the word. Then people started talking about people being false teachers. I was following people on social media. People started talking about them being false preachers, teachers. And I started getting really, really confused. And I was like, man, the Bible scares me. I know that the word is true, but studying it scares me. Understanding it scares me. I don't know what I'm doing. And so with that, I just strayed away and I would pray. And I knew scripture because I grew up in a Bible teaching home, but it still was a struggle. And so that coupled with porn and just my identity, I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to, plan for marriage. And as I got older, it was like nobody was pursuing me. Nobody was interested in me. And so it was like, dang, like, what is it? What is it me? What's up? And so like porn and masturbation, it comforted me because I was able to please myself. Like I didn't need nobody. And it was just like, this is what it is. Fast forward, porn was on and off between 2016 and 2018. And that's when I ended up playing with fire, and that time I got burnt. Okay, you play with fire long enough, it's gonna burn you. I was with my homeboy. We was real cool. Went to his house. We met up, and a couple times somehow we became physical. We ain't even like that was not even the motive because I wasn't on that. But I got physical one time, and I kept going back. It felt good. I ain't even gonna hold you. And we didn't go all the way until one day we went all the way. I remember having sex with him and I'm like, yo, did I just do that? And it was just like, girl, you just gave up 6 years of being abstinent. But the problem with that was the fact that I was so concerned with what people were going to say and not how I just sinned against God. And that's what the problem was, period. There should never be a time that you are doing anything for man. Everything you should be doing is for Christ. Everything you should be doing is for Christ, period. And so that's where I fell off at. It became too much of a people's ministry and not a Jesus ministry. And my lifestyle became too much of social media lifestyle and not a God lifestyle outside of the internet, outside of public eye. And so I fell. I had gotten too far away from God. I realized that I made abstinence an idol. The reason why I said that is because it was exalted above God. So much so that when I lost it, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm about to go back to the world. I'm about to kick it. Like, I'm about to really turn up. So I ended up moving on campus. I went to Jackson State University. The I love, baby. Like, put some respect on my school. It's the all day, every day. I was living on campus, and that's when everything just went left. I ended up meeting a girl that I got involved with in a homosexual relationship. I met some guys, well, not guys, plural, that sound a little hoish a little bit, little promiscuous. I met a guy that I had got involved with. I just was living like I was sinning. I had backslidden. And so that is another story for itself. That's not even the portion of this video. The portion of this video is about what happened as it pertains to my journey. With that being said, I just want to encourage you that if you are pure right now, make sure that you are doing it because the Bible tells you to do it. That is it. You need to be pleasing God, not man. Don't do it for no husband. Don't do it because your homegirl doing it. Don't do it because you feel like this is the trend of the Christian woman and all that. Do it because the Bible tells you to do it and because it pleases God. And also understand that purity is so much more than not having sex. It's a lifestyle. It's the way you eat. It's the way you spend time with God. It's how you're obedient to him. Like, I could go on and on, but just know that it is so much more than just not having sex. And so if you are the one who lost your journey to purity and you had to start over, be encouraged because you're human. This does not define you. This does not say that you will never get married. This does not say that you are wicked and unclean and all that. The Lord has already forgiven you if you've asked for repentance and you've turned away from it. The Lord has already forgiven you. He doesn't even remember. And so I just want to encourage you to just keep walking. If you are a Christian woman that is just trying to walk according to the word of God, stand firm. The Lord is with you. Period. I know it's hard. It's rough. It's hard in these streets. Being a single woman, being a believer, it's not easy. But just know that the Lord is with you. And so I just wanted to share my journey with you. If you like this video or were encouraged by this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you feel like anybody would benefit from this video or my channel, please do not be selfish and share the link with them. You can stay a while. Like, subscribe while you're here if you feel like you're rocking with me. Connect with me on Instagram at @sweet_Mary Kay. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.